Good morning. This is Ted Murmagos, and this is the July uh, um, Child Support Connection. Yeah, drew a blank there. And I'm just happy to be here. I hope everybody had a good and wonderful 4th of July. And we are back in business here at Child Support in the state of Delaware. And just glad that people will eventually, because I don't have anybody joining just yet, but that folks will be able to view this video at a later time. So that's awesome and also cool. I hope that we do get some folks joining and that there are some questions coming our way. But as everyone knows, before I start, I want to, before we really kind of get into talking about things that are going on here at Child Support in Delaware, I wanted to do what I always do and go through our mission statement here at Child Support, and then talk a little bit about some of the things we expect. And I already see that my coworker has put the disclaimer in the comment section. So here's the mission statement from us at the Division of Child Support Services. It's our mission at Child Support at DCSS here in Delaware to deliver quality customer support by partnering with parents to improve the lives of children and their families. This is achieved through obtaining accurate child support orders to meet the financial, medical, and emotional needs, to promote family self-sufficiency, and of course the best outcomes for children and their families. And I think I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. This is still it's almost 10 years now. This mission statement was modified in about 2018, and it really does demonstrate what we are really trying to accomplish here at Child Support, and it reflects a change in philosophy, where our previous mission statement was really to lay down the hammer. We're going to collect child support using enforcement tools, and I think with our name change in 2016, from the Division of Child Support Enforcement to the Division of Child Support Services, it really does reflect a different frame of mind from our perspective, from our employees' perspective here at Child Support. So that's really kind of some of the things we've been working on, as far as like a culture change. And one of the things I often say to non-custodial parents is I don't ever want to hear folks expressing dismay or concern about coming to one of our child support offices for fear that there's going to be someone waiting to arrest them or something along those lines. That's not the kind of business we operate here in Delaware, and I really do say to folks, there's never going to be a cop here waiting to arrest you for non-payment of your child support obligation. We want people to come to us and have a conversation about how we can get them back on track to meeting their court-ordered obligation. And so that's something that often I'm talking to non-custodial parents about, wanting to make sure that they're it's never too late, in my opinion, for someone to want to make a change, right? And want to start doing things differently, and starting to make those payments on a regular basis. So that's that's what I usually do when I talk to non-custodial parents, and I hope that there will be some non-custodial parents down the road who view this video and say, I want them to trust me when I say to them not to fear coming to one of our child support offices. The other thing that I wanted to mention is how to reach out to us. And it's important that folks know there are multiple ways someone can reach out to us here at Child Support. Number one is through our customer service unit telephone number. And that is at 302-577-7171. The other way is through a website. And this is both for custodial and non-custodial parents, all of this information. So there is a website called my.delaware spelled out.gov, my.delaware.gov. If you go to that website and create a username and password, you can then access what I always refer to as the Child Support app. There'll be a little plus sign about apps that you can add. One of them is Child Support. And you would create a secondary username and password and then have access to various pieces of your child support case, like printing an account statement or sharing with us changes of address in employment situations. But there's a way you can communicate with us through what I call a quasi-email system. So you don't have to wait on hold through our customer service unit. You can actually reach out to the assigned caseworker and ask them a question, and they will respond back to you through that child support website. And then the last way to communicate with us is to come into our office. We have 3 offices statewide. They're on our website, so I encourage people to go to our website. And you can walk in between 8 a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. Come in and talk to somebody about your child support case in one of our offices. And then, something else just occurred to me. You will see us, you will see child support out at community events. And you could always come up and talk to one of our employees who are staffing our table at a community event, and they can help you either understand your child support case or your situation a little better, or they can direct you on next steps and how to get the case maybe jump started, or if you're a non-custodial parent, on how to resolve the fact that you may have not made a payment. So, always see if you could check us out at a community event. Now that summer's here, we're doing a little bit more of that, and we encourage people to come to those events. One of the things I forgot to say too, if you're calling our customer service unit at 302-577-7171, there's bilingual individuals who can help you if you're a Spanish speaking individual. So those are the ways that you can reach out to us. I encourage folks, don't be afraid to talk to us. We want to hear from people and help them understand what the child support situation may look for them. And then certainly coming to our office, we encourage people to come to our offices, and there's someone that can meet with you and talk to you, look at your case, and give you next steps. What's the best next steps for your case? And then I forgot to mention too, we do go into the prisons, we do talk to the incarcerated, and that's so important to help them, because one of the things I always say to my coworkers here is, I don't want people who are incarcerated sitting in prison worrying about and being weighed down and burdened about their child support obligations. We do want to talk to them and talk to them about next steps and how we can help them resolve those particular issues. So, that's kind of where we are. We're out in the community. And I encourage people to go to my.delaware.gov. All you need is your case number and the ability to create a username and password, and bingo, you got access to your child support worker who can help you and direct you on next steps. So, the other thing that I felt was important to talk about was some of the enforcement tools. I talk about it all the time, but I just got some information from one of our employees here, and it's about an enforcement tool that I sometimes talk about, but really I haven't talked about in a while, and that's our interactions here at Child Support with the 3 casinos in the state. So currently, if someone goes into Delaware Park, Dover Downs, well, it's called Bally's now, or Harrington Raceway, and you're doing, sports betting, or you're playing table games, or you're doing the video lottery, or the video games, and you win over a certain amount that you have to go to the window, they will basically look you up and determine whether you owe child support or rearages. And I've heard countless, we've been doing this now probably 10 years, 15 years. I've heard countless stories about non-custodial parents who keep going to the casinos and keep winning. And that's the most important thing, and have paid off their child support arrears by their interactions with the 3 casinos. And so far in the state fiscal year 2026, there has been $159,000 collected from individuals to pay their child support obligation just because they won at the casinos. Now, I'm not encouraging people. I do not gamble, and I'm not encouraging people to try to pay off child support arrears by winning at the casinos. But it's just another avenue that we have to collect child support. And, $159,000 is a nice chunk of change from the casinos in 2026. So just really, it's just another one of those collection situations that we have that we don't really talk about a lot. And I always think it's kind of funny how individuals have paid off their child support just by going back to the casino, and some of our luckier non-custodial parents are able to pay off that child support obligation. So I just got that information today, so I was like, I'll mention it and see what people think about that. I think, quite honestly, that it is a way to collect a little bit of money. So the other thing I thought, what I thought we could talk a little bit about is, we're kind of at the June 30th, I'm kind of trying to think here a little bit. June 30th was the end of the legislative session here in Delaware. And I talked about this a couple of months ago. I can't remember if I talked about it in June. Maybe I talked about it in May. But the legislative session is over. And 2 things. One, there were several bills that were passed in Dover in our legislature that affect the child support program. And one of those bills was our bill that we actually asked for the governor to allow us to advance, and he accepted that request. And so our bill, just to talk specifically about child support here, our bill was very simple, but it allows us to serve notices on non-custodial parents by certified mail. And we had that authority in the past, but this just tightens it up a little bit. The language is tightened up, and it now appears in our part of the Delaware law, Delaware code. So we were happy that the legislature allowed us to pass it and move it through, and we're waiting for the governor to sign it so we can then implement some of those minor changes here in child support. There's some other exciting bills that affected our program. One bill, it was House Bill 343. It affects referrals from the foster care program to the child support office, and it basically allows the Division of Family Services over in our kids department to not refer cases to the child support office when there is a belief that reunification with the parent or parents is going to take place down the road. So we're also waiting for the governor to sign that bill, but it will once signed by the governor, it will be able to it will cut down the number of cases that are being referred to us from family services. And that, the way I look at it is it puts more money in the home of the family, because oftentimes we're collecting on arrears that those biological parents may owe us when they're a reunited family. And do we want to do that? I don't think we want to do that. So we're grateful that the legislature passed this bill, and it will stop those referrals from coming to us. So once that bill is signed by the governor, we're hoping to have meetings with the Division of Foster Family Services that oversees the foster care program to talk about how we're going to make some changes to those referrals coming to us. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for families. It's a good thing for that child. Keep the money in the home and let that family rebuild themselves to self-sufficiency. So we're happy about that. Then there's House Bill 357. And House Bill 357 basically expands the current piece of the Delaware Code that talks about poor or people who can't afford to support themselves because of a disability or something else, being able to, parents of that disabled child being able to receive what we're calling an indefinite order. The order would not have a termination date if the individual parent can prove to the court that the child has a severe disability and they will be unable to support themselves for the longest period of time. So we are working to make some systems changes, and I see there's a question in the chat, and we'll jump on that in a minute. We are looking to make some systems changes that will allow us to keep those cases in the system for as long as the court doesn't terminate the order. So we are looking to make some changes, other systems changes to help accommodate that, House Bill 357. So I see there's a question from Mr. Shepard. How come you don't answer your mail? And I really can't go into a lot of personal case information, but I can tell you, Mr. Shepard, I'm familiar with you. I am familiar with the letters that you sent to my office. We oftentimes refer those letters to the Department of Justice to also look at. And quite honestly, I believe if you're the right person that I'm thinking about, sometimes your letters don't make a lot of sense. So it's hard for us to respond to questions and statements that you're making in your individual letters to the director's office or to us here at Child Support. So, so I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, I'm more than happy to talk to you offline about your particular child support situation. But there's your answer, sir. It's your letters are often confusing and quite honestly, in some cases, I believe don't make a lot of sense. So it's hard for us to respond to them. And then, as I already have said, we do in some situations refer letters like yourself, your letters to us, to the Department of Justice and ask for their advice on whether we need to respond or not. So appreciate your comment, and I hope that I was able to answer it. Ultimately, it's our hope that individuals who, we would hope that individuals would pay their child support, court-ordered child support, that's why there's a lot of things that we need to refer to the Department of Justice. And this isn't really the place to have these kinds of conversations. So, yeah. So ultimately, in situations like yours, we refer those letters to the Department of Justice. So thank you for your question. And I don't really want to get into, and I'm not an attorney, so I'm not able to really answer legal questions such as you're posing in the chat. But ultimately, individuals who, and this is a good opportunity for me to talk a little bit. There are court orders on all of our child support cases. In most of the situations, the non-custodial parent, in all of the situations, the non-custodial parent has been properly noticed. The non-custodial parent has been sent a copy of the court order. In some of the situations that I've dealt with, non-custodial parents who have actually signed copies of the orders and have been in court and signed those orders. So, they're fully aware that there's a child support obligation in place. So if you are taking care of your children and there may be a need to modify that child support obligation, and that's something that you can certainly do with the family court. And you can certainly file that obligation, that modification with the family court to see if the order could be modified or either terminated altogether if you're caring for the child. Yeah, you don't have to send me the material. I already have it. Ultimately, too, the bottom line is we here at Child Support go by what the family court tells us. So if there's a need to modify that obligation, I encourage you to go to family court and seek a modification of the obligation. And then, has the order been terminated by the court? If the order's been terminated by the court, and we don't have a copy of that order, you can certainly send it to us. Okay. So the other thing, and Mr. Shepard, you can do what you think is best. Ultimately, to individuals such as yourself, and I'm not going to really get into this, you send us huge packets of information that, you send certified mail that costs $10 or $15. I'd rather you pay the child support order that's in place. So maybe that's a message for individuals such as yourself and others. Don't send us packets of information. Just pay your child support. Send us that $20 to pay the child support. So I'm going to move on, and you can certainly do what you think is best. And all I can say is child support is court order driven. There's got to be a court order in place that we've received from the court. If the court says this order should no longer be in place, send it to us, or get the court to send it to us, and we will change what we have in our child support system. That's all. That's really the bottom line, and all that I can say as it relates to your particular situation. So I'm just going to go back to the legislation that's been going on at family court or at the legislature, and so the other going back to House Bill 357. So like I mentioned, we are working on making systems changes so that indefinite orders can be put in our system. And then really the family court is the only entity that can determine whether an indefinite order should be granted to the custodial parent as it relates to individuals who are disabled and really there isn't going to be an opportunity for them to work and someone needs to support them. So there was House Bill 341. That was our bill that allowed us to use certified, send out notices certified mail. And then the House Bill 343, which was the family services, not referring foster care cases to the child support office. And then House Bill 357 dealt with indefinite orders. And then lastly, Senate Bill 250, which dealt with some major changes to the Uniform Parentage Act, which also we are looking at making some additional systems changes as it relates to same-sex couples and that kind of thing. So we are working very diligently here now that the legislative session is over. So yeah, so grateful to the legislature that allowed us to do it. And in all of these cases, we are really waiting for, in some cases, the governor to sign the legislation. But we are quickly moving to make some systems updates. And yeah, so that's the legislative process here. The other thing I thought I would talk a little bit about is, let's see here. We are now going to be looking towards advancing the various ways that individuals can make child support payments. And this is something that's not going to happen until the end of the year. But we are looking at including PayPal and looking at including like Venmo and those types of phone on your phone apps that you can make a child support payment to do that. So let me just respond here. And so we are looking at other opportunities for non-custodial parents to make payments to our child support office. So right now, we'll always take a check, we'll always take a money order, and and on every court order that comes out of family court, there are addresses that are listed for individuals to make a payment to the child support office. So if you're ever wondering, gee, how do I make a payment? Go back to that last court order, and a payment can be made directly to our child support office. The address is on there. Income withholding orders, and this is so important, especially if you're a non-custodial parent that hasn't paid in a while. You can always tell us where you're working. Go and find employment. And we will go ahead and issue a wage withholding to your employer for them to make a payment to our office. They will withdraw the child support from your paycheck, and they will send that payment to our office. We collect about 75% of our child support through wage withholdings, and that's really so important. And it's so important. It's so important that individuals let us know where they're working, and it's so easy. It's so easy so that you can just let your employer make the deduction and send it to our office. Employers are so important to the child support program, and we rely on them. We rely on them, and we couldn't do it without them. So the next way is through a website that we have, a website called iPayOnline. iPayOnline is also really critical to us because it allows an individual to log into iPayOnline and can make a payment on a regular basis through iPayOnline. You can make a one-time payment, but and it comes right out of the person's bank account, or they can use a debit or credit card. and the payment can be automatically, electronically sent to our office. Now, it does take a little bit to set it up, but it's so easy to use. I pay online, and it's just so easy to make a regular payment right out of your bank account. You can set it up like on the 15th of every month. I want to make a payment of X amount of dollars, and it's really, it's really like very efficient. The next item is TouchPay kiosks. So if you go to any of the probation offices, probation offices here in Delaware, or to any of the DMVs, there's a kiosk. That is the only place that somebody can make a cash payment for child support here in Delaware. And it is so efficient. And if you don't want to come to the child support office, you can go to DMV or probation and parole, and they will. There's a kiosk, and there's no service fees charged. So all of the payment that comes to us from the kiosk gets applied to someone's child support case. And then the most recent payment processing item that we have that we just instituted probably about a year ago now is through our telephone number. You call our customer service unit, and you hit option 1 and then option 3, and you can make a payment by telephone. And I know a lot of people are doing that, and it's just another way to make a payment. Call 302-577-7171, and you can make a payment by the telephone. So I do believe there is a fee, a small fee, to pay that by telephone. So those are the 5 ways that you can make a payment. In Newcastle County, we have a drop box. Only in Newcastle County, there's a drop box that someone can make a payment. Can make a payment 24 hours a day. Drive to our office in an envelope, slip a check or money order. Don't put cash in the drop box, but it's only in Newcastle County. In all 3 counties, if somebody's license is going to be suspended or has been suspended, you can come into our office and make a payment to get your license back or to avoid it from being suspended. If the family court tells you to come to child support and make a payment so you don't become incarcerated, you can make that payment in all 3 offices by check or money, or certified check or money order. You can come to our office and make that payment. But if you were to walk into our Kent County office with a regular weekly payment or whatever, they can accept it. They will help you mail that payment to our Newcastle County office. That's so important. And there's just so many ways that an individual can make a child support payment. And we want to make it simple. We want to make it easy for non-custodial parents to do that. And then, when we talk about payments to custodial parents, we are required, and custodial parents, have to help us do this. They are required to sign up for direct deposit or our Relia card issued by U.S. Bank, which is a Visa card that can be used anywhere Visa is accepted. Now, we understand there are some custodial parents who can't get a credit card or can't get a bank account, and we will continue to send them a payment. But it's only in those rare occasions, so we are always encouraging people to sign up for that direct deposit or the U.S. Bank issued a Relia card. It's so efficient. You don't have to wait for the mail to get your child support payment. And let's see here. I wanted to talk a little bit too about complying with child support rules, and I'm going to talk kind of high level here, so I'm not going to get into the weeds. But if you're a custodial parent and you are receiving Medicaid or temporary assistance to needy families, you have to, and the folks at the Division of Social Services will tell you that you need to comply with some of the case processing rules here at the Child Support Office. We are required by federal law to work with custodial parents who are receiving the TANF benefit or Medicaid to obtain a child support order and get and have the non-custodial parent, the other party in this situation, pay child support either to the state of Delaware for TANF benefits, reimburse the state for TANF benefits, or to enroll the child in medical benefits and have a court order created that says when both or either parent is eligible for health insurance benefits through an employer, that employer is to enroll the child in those benefits. So there's just compliance rules that the Division of Social Services, I'm going to say DSS, the Division of Social Services, will inform the custodial parent who's receiving these benefits that they need to work with us here at Child Support to help us get a child support order put in place with the family court. Oftentimes parents who go into DSS, the Division of Social Services, don't believe they have to comply with us, but they really do in order to continue to receive those benefits. So we try to work closely with those custodial parents to make sure they understand the obligation that they're required to kind of work with us and to get those child support orders in place. If somebody is on Medicaid, they don't have to get a financial order, but they do have to get that medical order, make sure that medical order is in place. I was going to say something else, but I can't remember what it was. I forgot. But it's just so important that they do that. Oftentimes parents are working together, but they need health insurance. We get that. We get that. And the expectation is that they're going to get that court order put in place. And then if they are working, we certainly want them to and they can get medical insurance through an employer. We want them to enroll that child or the children in that health insurance benefit. So, this is what I was going to mention too. If somebody is on Medicaid and their child is on Medicaid and they don't comply with helping us get that court order put in place, the adults' Medicaid benefits will be suspended or canceled, but not the children. The children will always be able to get that health insurance if the parent doesn't work with us. Now, with TANF benefits, it's a little bit different. If we have to sanction the custodial parent because they are not working with us to obtain a child support order, their TANF benefits, the whole family's TANF benefits, can be suspended or canceled. So it's so important to comply with us, work with us, to get that court order in place. We don't want to sanction families. So that they would lose their TANF benefit or lose their Medicaid benefits. But we have no obligation but to do that in order to get them to give us the information we need to move a case forward. So we work with families, we work with custodial parents, in addition to non-custodial parents, of course, to make sure that we get an order in place and then people are doing what that court order has instructed them to do. So with that being said, it's really hard for us sometimes because we don't want to sanction individuals for non-complying with the child support rules. But sometimes we have to do that. The state, this is kind of getting into the weeds a little bit here, but we have many different partners that we work with to help us either establish court orders or enforce court orders. And the whole process starts with paternity establishment. We want to make sure that paternity is established. Well, now that House Bill, Senate Bill 250 has been passed, once it's signed by the governor, I guess we'll start calling it parentage. We want to make sure that parentage is established for all of the children that are involved in a particular child support situation. So there are 3 ways in which parentage is established here in Delaware. One, first and foremost, is if the parties are married when the child is born. Parentage is already established for that child. And the Office of Vital Statistics, with our sister agency, the Division of Public Health, once that child is born, if the parties are married, they will automatically update the birth certificate with both parents' names. The second way is through genetic testing, and this is when we talk about a partner that we have. We partner with LabCorp here in Delaware to establish paternity or parentage for children who are born out of wedlock. So if the parents aren't married and they want us to establish parentage through genetic testing, we will work with LabCorp to schedule the parents and the children involved to go have genetic testing done. And it's not like it used to be back in the day. So the parents will go to a LabCorp site. Maybe it's separate, maybe it's together. If there's domestic violence issues or whatever, we will schedule it at different days and times and keep that confidential. But we will schedule folks to have genetic testing done. And it's just taking a swab, like a large cotton swab, a Q-tip kind of item, and just scraping the inside of the cheek of all of the parties involved and the children, and they send that off to get tested. And if parentage is established at 99.99% or higher, you can't get much higher than that, and parentage is established, and the lab results are sent to the family court, the court will say, in a court order, Office of Vital Statistics, put the biological parent's name on that birth certificate, and parentage has been established. The last way, so you got being married through genetic testing, and then the third way is through our voluntary acknowledgement of paternity program. And if both parents say, I am the parent of this child, there's a form that they can complete. And the form will basically, under a notarized signature, allow them to sign the document, and that document gets submitted to the Office of Vital Statistics, and they will automatically add the child's name to the birth certificate, or the parent's name to the birth certificate, and the parties will then get a copy of that birth certificate. So it's easy, it's free. We will notarize the documents in any of our child support offices. The Office of Vital Statistics, I believe, will also notarize it for free, and then it's filed and parentage is established. So let's see. So if the parents want to get paternity established, and like I said, it's the first step in establishing a court order here in Delaware, we will we can help them do that. So let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So going back to talking about different agencies that we coordinate with. At a state level, like I said, we work with the Department of Corrections. We help individuals who are incarcerated get their child support obligations modified. We work with the Department of Justice to help us file documents with the family court. They help provide legal guidance to the child support office, and they will work on helping us interpret new laws that are put in place, not only at the state level, but at the federal level. We work, and I've already talked a little bit about Medicaid. We work with the Medicaid program. We work with the Division of Social Services. We work with the Division of Family Services. And I talked a little bit about the foster care relationship that we have with them. When we suspend, or when we want to suspend licenses, we can work with the Division of Professional Regulations, the Division of Revenue for business licenses, and obviously the Division of Motor Vehicle. We have relationships with the Division of Revenue, not only for suspending business licenses, but for intercepting state tax refunds. So if somebody owes child support arrearages, we can go ahead and intercept a refund and pay those child support arrearages off, not only from the Division of Revenue, but from the IRS. And it does work, and we can reduce child support arrearages by collecting those tax refunds. Now, I want to mention this real quick. If the non-custodial parent has had their refund intercepted, and they're currently married, and part of that refund is their current spouses, those funds can then, they can file what they call an injured spouse form with the IRS, and we are required to give that married partner their portion of the tax refund. So we do have a relationship not only with the State Division of Revenue, but with our with the Federal Internal Revenue Service. And then from the federal perspective, we have relationships with the Department of State, and that's where up until before just recently, we have denied passports, but we are now able to, with the help of the Department of State at the federal level, they are now revoking passports for individuals who owe child support arrearages, and they've been working their way back slowly from $100,000, and I think they're now at somewhere around $50,000 in child support arrearages. Non-custodial parents can have their passport revoked. And I have not heard in Delaware that there has been any kind of big hit to individuals who have a passport and owe over $50,000. I think we've had one case, and we're working with that non-custodial parent on finding a way to we want to help them resolve a passport being revoked. Oftentimes people need those passports to work out of the country, and we don't want to hamper that from happening. And this is the thing, maybe it's worth saying here, with all of our different enforcement tools that may be taking place, we certainly want to work with non-custodial parents and want to have a conversation. License suspension is one way. Passport revocation, passport denial is another way for us to reach out to non-custodial parents and to say to them, come and talk to us here at Child Support. Let us help you get back on track. And we use these tools to start that conversation. We still may revoke a passport. We still may deny a passport, but we can work with non-custodial parents on a good faith effort to get them back on track. And then at a later date, being able to reinstate those items to help them get their license back, get their passport back. So, and then of course, we are working with our Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement, and then when we with that relationship, with the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement. We also have some subcategories like the National Directory of New Hires, where all of our child support programs around the country, we receive data about where people are employed. And we use that information to send out orders of income withholding, those wage attachments that I talked about before. But we also share that data with the federal office, and they share it with all of the other child support programs around the country. And similarly, we receive data here in Delaware about where people may be employed in other parts of the country. And we're able to send wage attachments issued here in Delaware throughout the country to start receiving child support payments. So there's that federal national directory of new hires that we here in Delaware report data to, and then there's information we get back. And then there's the Federal Parent Locate Service. The Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement has data sources that they're pulling from, that they share with us here in Delaware and that we share with them. And that Federal Parent Locate Service helps us locate individuals who have maybe moved out of the state of Delaware for one reason or another, or are trying to avoid paying child support. That Federal Parent Locate Service helps us try to locate individuals. They also manage what they call the Federal Case Registry. So if our Delaware child support worker wants to know if there's a case in another state, they can access that Federal Parent Locate Service to help us locate individuals in other parts of the country. And then there's state child support programs all over the country in 4 territories that we interact with to help us enforce child support orders. They communicate with us, hey, we have somebody that lives in Delaware, can you help us establish an order? And then we do that for them and for their custodial parent that lives in their jurisdiction. And then we may say to them, hey, we know somebody that lives in your state. Can you help us? Can you help us establish a child support order on their behalf? And they do that for us. So there's a lot of exchanging of information, not only to the federal government, but to child support agencies around the country. And I think I can speak for them when I say we all want to work together to help non-custodial parents, the payors of these child support cases, get back on track. Some of us, may be a little bit more heavy-handed than the others, but the bottom line is we all want to work to get non-custodial parents back on track to pay those child support orders. So there are different ways to go about doing that, and we want to work with local, state, and federal entities, and especially with both parents. One of the things we often maybe don't talk about enough, but custodial parents are really another enforcement tool that we have, a data collection tool that we have, to help us get child support for individuals here. They are the ones that are out there on the street. We don't send people out banging on doors, knocking on doors to find, to locate people. So we often rely on custodial parents for that information. So, those are really some of the interactions that we have. Excuse me, there may be some more that I, failed to touch on, but, locate is very important to the child support office and very important in us trying to obtain child support. And we really don't want individuals to jump from state to state to avoid child support. We would rather work with them and really want to try and get compliance, on getting child support. And one of the other things too that maybe we don't talk about enough is reunification. Families where non-custodial parents, that's how we refer to individuals who have to pay child support. If we do see that those individuals who are paying their child support regularly do have better interactions with their children. And so that's like one of the payoffs of individuals who are paying their child support. They have better and greater access to their children and help with the not only the taking care of and the rearing, and being able to be a part of their families' lives and children's lives. It's so important, and paying the child support is a direct result of that better family reunification. So with that all being said, we have about 5 minutes left. Just want to run through the normal things I run to at the end of these child support connections as I look at my calendar here. August 3rd is the next first Monday of the month, and I will be back to hold these child support connections August 3rd at 11:30 to 12:30. There's the next child support connection. If you need help with your child support, please call us at 302-577-7171 or log into my.delaware.gov. my.delaware.gov and create that username and password so that you can have access to your child support case. You need an account statement. You don't have to call us to get one. You can print one right online. You can communicate with your worker through my.delaware.gov. I hope folks have a great summer, a great July, and I will see you at the end of August. Please encourage, if you know somebody who has to pay child support, please encourage them to tune in and to come to the August Child Support Connection and go to our YouTube page. Our YouTube page has tons of videos, previous videos, if people want to learn about child support in Delaware. I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and watch some of those videos. And lastly, our website has great information about the child support program, and you can learn about all of the enforcement tools. You can learn all about how to make a child support payment. You can learn about signing up for the First Aid Family Card or direct deposit. There's a whole bunch of information on our website, and I would encourage folks to do that. And then, I think it's important that everyone understands that our child support office wants to help folks understand and help folks maneuver not only through the child support system that we operate here at Child Support, but to work through the family court process. The family court can be complicated. There are resource centers available at the family court in each of the 3 counties, a resource center that can help individuals file papers with the family court. So I encourage people to do that. So I encourage folks to come back in August. Let's come back and have some questions that I can answer, and have a great July. And I'll see everybody on August 3rd. Thank you for tuning in. Go to our YouTube channel, and I appreciate everyone's time and energy and effort to join us today. Take care, and I will see you in August.